Welcome to Drinks Coach, and this is a very, very special one, episode 120, all lowercase, Drinks Coach UK, Vinesack, all lowercase. You're watching the Drinks Coach on YouTube. Thank you very much, wife, who's just off camera, for making all our lovely pictures over the last 120 episodes. Today is a very special show because it's one of the times when I actually use my show to my own advantage, and it's about this thing here. This is the magical, most marvellous, wonderful Reverend Hubert Garden Liqueur. It's nice, isn't it? And if you look at the top, you can see those letters M-O-M in the stained glass. There's a cricket ball, there's stumps, a little plum there, there's pomegranate, sunflowers, there's rhubarb up in the corner. Or is that a deck chair? I don't know, up there. Anyway, the whole idea is we wanted to make a summer drink to contrast from our winter drink, which was such a great success. Everyone in the country just gave us so much love for this. It was on every TV show, it was on Saturday Kitchen, it was on Sunday Brunch. This was Reverend Hubert's Winter Gin Liqueur. You notice that we've actually changed the hat as well. He has a lovely winter brown derby there, like a proper priest, proper vicar. Here he's wearing a boater. Yes, a boater. And it's also got some interesting colours on the boater hat band. Now, those are the colours of both Wimbledon, because we've established that Reverend Hubert loved his tennis, but also of the Royal Signals, which was the regiment that he was in. But actually also my partner in crime and owner of this brand, Tom Lester, went to Harrow, and they still wear boaters as a part of their school uniform. And I went to Winchester College, and it is no longer compulsory, but you can still wear a boater as a part of your school uniform, although they're slightly different shape. But there we go. So it brings Tom and me into the long, wonderful story about his great-grandfather, Reverend Hubert Bell Lester. So that is the story of the drink, and I've been waiting all summer to show you what you can do with it, because it's a wonderful drink. First of all, I'll explain what I've done with it, what I've made it from. Tom and I, when we were first looking at making the winter liqueur and looking towards the idea of doing a summer drink as well, we made some 40 or 50 distillates, bought 100 litres of rum and put it into barrels, and then put different fresh fruits in to see whether they would survive the process of extraction, whether they would oxidise. For example, we did it with cherries, absolute flipping disaster, but some of them came out really, really well, and it kind of provided the basis for this drink, and we tuned it, and now we're very, very proud of it. And the idea was to make a drink which was very summery, very English, that was probably lower in alcohol, a bit lighter, more suited to making long drinks, so actually your bottle would probably go further as well. But also, the idea was that we wanted a drink that kind of like reflect the whole idea of croquet, the sort of like bucolic scene of a parish, something that would be reflecting the man, Reverend Lester himself. And we've come with this wonderful drink, and it's actually made from 4 different drinks. It's made from a distillate of rhubarb, which has been added to 1 sweetened gin. Then we used Slovakian plums, the best plums we could find anywhere in the world. And if you're familiar with Slivovica, which is a rakia from Bulgaria and Slovakia, and that whole area of these old Eastern Bloc countries, it's considered to be the best plum liqueur in the world. So we're using those plums. We also use cranberries, because cranberries have such a lovely colour fix. And what surprised us was that cranberry smells so delicious. When you put it into a distillate, it really sings, and it smells of bright red currant. And it just added a tart freshness to a drink, which otherwise could have been quite sweet and heavy. So we've got rhubarb, we've got Slovakian plum, we've got cranberry. But finally, and this was the masterstroke, and Tom and I were really keen to keep this involved, because we just felt it added something, and it was very, very difficult to manage. But we've ended up steeping fresh pomegranate seeds in the drink, which allows the drink to have a grown-up red wine tannin structure, which is really important. So we've got an acidity from the cranberries, we've got the sweetness and pithiness of the plums, we've got that wonderful rhubarb and custard crumble distillate flavour of rhubarb, which everyone likes so much. And then there's this tannin from the pomegranate, which works really, really well. So here we are, showing off Reverend Hubert Garden Liqueur for the very first time. Well, I've come up with 3 of many serves, but 3 serves that I've made recently, which I thought were absolutely fantastic. And the first one I'm going to make is a drink just to show you how incredibly simple it is to enjoy it. By the way, the MOM for Master of Malt, this is exclusive to the online retailer Master of Malt. Guy, thank you very much for your support. And you'll sell it all, I promise you will. We were gobsmacked when the guy said, look, I don't want anybody else to be selling this. The winter liqueur was such a success. Allow me to have the summer as an exclusive. So if you want to buy this, look on the bio below and you'll see a link straight to Master of Malt where you can buy it. It's the same price as the summer liqueurs, $34.99 or something like that. Right, where should we start? Well, we'll start off with what I decided to call a Hibiscus Fizz. Why hibiscus? Well, it's because the tonic I've chosen to use. Basically, I've made a nice glass. This is how simple it is. You can use any old glass. I've made it all nice and pretty. I've garnished it with some strawberries, as you can see there. And all I'm going to do is add a large measure of the summer liqueur. There we go. Ooh. Move that back a little bit. There's not much space here, is there? Then this, plenty of exciting things out there, and this is now something which is becoming quite easy to find. This is Merchant's Heart, one of my favourite carbonated drinks companies. They make really good, grown-up restaurant bartender kind of mixes, and this is Hibiscus Tonic, which is a very pretty, almost wild strawberry taste. So I'm going to put some of that in here, but of course the drink's already quite sweet. So I'm going to go halfway with the Hibiscus Tonic, and then we're going to top it up with good old sparkling water. This is San Pellegrino. I would normally use club soda, but it's a fresh bottle, so whatever. Okay, Emma, I want you to try this. Well, that looked good. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. Oh, that's close up. Lovely. There you go, Emma. Hand in shot. There we go. Hello, Emma. Okay, tell me what you think of that. So that's a nice big drink. One of the reasons why I wanted to start off the drink like this is it mixes with tonic, and we've just used a Hibiscus Tonic just to tune it even finer. There are other mixes out there that work really well. I want to recommend Two Keys. They do this brilliant pink grapefruit one, and they do a lemon one, which I'll come on to later, which kind of mimics another drink I'm going to do. What do you think?
On a hot day, it's perfect.
It's not too strong or anything, is it? It's so refreshing, and you could probably, I reckon, get away with a slice of cucumber in there as well.
Tastes a bit like strawberries and cream.
Oh, lovely! Yeah, he's got that kind of rhubarby. Yeah, yeah. Okay, Wimbledon drink. That's a really nice point. Actually, that comes on to the next drink we're about to make. So,
do you need this back?
No, I'll have a sip. But then you can probably nurse it until I bring you the next one. The next one's kind of along the same theme, but a little bit more complicated. I don't know if you can tell, but it is one of those 32-degree days. It's smouldering up here, 3 floors up, with 2 tiny windows open and the fans off. I had the fans going literally until we started recording, and then turn the fan off and drip, drip. Oh my God. Okay, so where are we going to go next? I'm going to make you a drink called the Reverend Hubert Garden Cup. Does that look familiar to anyone? That sort of dude of makeup. This is a take on a Pimm's Cup type drink. Pimm's, what could be more quintessentially Pimm's English than Pimm's? It's hard to think of anything really. Pimm's used to be a drink that was quite strong, and it had more bitters, more vermouth in it. It had more gin if it was the number 1 cup. Number 7 cup was more vodka. They made a number 4 cup, which was rum. There was a tequila cup. They made it for all different spirits. But the idea was to make a aromatized drink, which you can make into a long drink for lazy summer days in the deck chair. So I'm going to mimic that. But in order to do that, I just wanted to make a few changes. First of all, I'm going to show you this wonderful product. Thank you very much, Jared Brown, for sending this to me last summer, or this summer. But I think because the lack of people going to tennis, I think there was a huge surplus of strawberries in the country. Emma loves this bottle. She wouldn't let me throw it away anyway if I tried. But this is the latest limited edition from Sipsmith, our wonderful super gin company. They were the first people really to bring craft gin into the marketplace, and they're still producing these fantastic seasonal serves. They made a chili and lime one, which basically you can put in any gin because of tequila really. And this is called Strawberry Smash, and it was made as the official gin for Wimbledon. So what I'm going to do, I put a single measure of this gin just to make the drink worthwhile. Because I mean, you've got to have some booze in it, for goodness sake. So I'm going to put in about 3/4 of an ounce, which is about 25 mils. I'm now going to add a dash of Angostura bitters. This is if you've got some, people have Angostura bitters in the house because of pink gin, and it's one of the few weird things that people have in cupboards. So if you've got this is your chance to use it. Also, I'm going to use a vermouth. What would be typical is if you wanted to make up a gin, a Pimm's drink, but really give it some strength, you'd add some gin, some Pimm's, and some red vermouth. To keep this all English, I've decided to go with this stuff. I don't think I've mentioned this before. This is our friends Asterley brothers and the Schofield brothers who helped them to design these drinks. This is an English red vermouth, which I happen to rate very, very highly. So this is Asterley brothers red vermouth. You can just use Cinzano Rosso or Martini Rosso. You don't have to use anything special, but I'm trying to make this as special as possible and treating my lovely drink with respect. There we go. And then just a small measure of that. Now, what am I mixing that up with? Well, I always go for ginger ale. Just regular Schweppes ginger ale. Canada Dry will do. Any other brand, Sipsmith, of course. But do make sure it comes out of a fresh can. You want the carbonation, okay? So I'm going to float that a bit more. I'm going to use my bar spoon just to mix it up a little bit. And then I'm going to add a little bit more ice.
It's cucumber.
There is ribbons of cucumber. There's some mint in here. Strawberries, orange, lemon. Thank you very much for reminding me to say that. But it's a classic garnish. If you want to go old school garnish for Pimm's, of course you use borage. Okay, so here we go. There we go. And I'm going to put a straw in this for you. This, my darling, is the Reverend Hubert Garden Cup. This is the drink that this was designed to be. Okay, there we go.
What's borage?
Borage is a leaf. It has a very beautiful blue flower, which in some countries they crystallise for desserts. But it's a very hairy plant that looks like a dock leaf, but actually tastes of cucumber.
Oh.
Cucumber was the kind of like the poor man's version of borage.
That's very nice.
Let me taste something. I'm trying to go. Sorry. You get it back. You'll get it back. You'll get it back. I mean, that's the whole point of this drink.
Very Pimmsy.
Pimmsy, but you can really taste the fruit. The rhubarb comes through. Oh, yeah. Well, you can finish that. That's your drink while I chat on about the next two. Okay, where are we going next? Okay. The next drink is to celebrate a couple of things. Three things, first of all. To celebrate a riff on one of my absolute favourite drinks. Secondly, to celebrate the arrival of a very exciting new whiskey, which has been featured on this show already, but we're going to mention it again because it makes such a good drink and is so mixable. Also, to celebrate one of Emma's favourite artists of all time, which is Vanilla Ice. So I've got a martini mixing jar here. Sorry, it's so hot. The ice is already melting. Hopefully that's enough ice to melt to stir it down. I'm sure it is. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make a drink which is a riff on a boulevardier. Now, a boulevardier in of itself is already a riff on another drink, which is the most popular drink of du jour, which is the Negroni. So Negroni is made from gin, vermouth and bitters. What we're going to do is replace the bitters with Reverend Hubert, and also we're going to replace the gin with whiskey. So a Negroni made with rye whiskey is called a boulevardier. And it's those dandy people that used to walk up and down the sort of like the seafront back in the day, and it's in Paris, and it is very much one of the first and oldest cocktails that there ever has been. So we're going to just tweak the proportions very slightly. It's also kind of a nod to a Manhattan as well. But what we're going to do is we're not going to muck around this time. We are going to use a vermouth, but I'm not going to use acid this time. I'm going to go for the gold standard. This is Cocchi Vermouth de Torino, which is a sweet red vermouth. We're going to go in with 3/4 of an ounce. We're then going to go in with the same amount of Rev Hub, Garden Liqueur. And if you can, you can. I'm going to add just 2 drops of orange bitters. There we go. 3, in fact. And we're going to use James Arthur Rackham's brand new Tennessee whiskey. This is a Tennessee straight whiskey called Daddy Rack. James is a god amongst men in the wine trade and drinks trade. He's actually more of a specialist spirits importer. His father had a Rackham Wine Company, which you may well remember, lots of small independent shops around the south of England. Arthur Rackham's, and James and his son Jack now run Emporia Brands, and he's actually gone to the trouble of actually going out to a new distillery, picking his ricks, his barrels, his place, his source of cereal crops for the drink, and he's ended up with this incredible drink. So this it's got 10% rye, 10% barley, but it's just a proper old school Kentucky whiskey. 80% corn, with that sweet corn to you and me, and it's utterly delicious. It's utterly delicious. It's gone through the Lincoln County process, which is the process that we probably are more familiar with through adverts from Jack Daniels, which is another Tennessee whiskey, where you filter it through maple charcoal, which actually takes a lot of the edges away and makes it a much easier drink when it's young. And the point about this drink, not only is it the most fabulously wrapped and coated bottle, isn't that a gorgeous bottle, Emma? Emma being an arty person, she much appreciates this. But that's actually a picture of James Rackham on the front, looking like Colonel Custer or Colonel Saunders. It's very hard to tell. He very kindly did a Zoom chat with me while we drank this, and it's absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to add a little bit more of this, as you would in a typical Boulevardier. I'm going to go about an ounce. There we go. So we've got slightly more of that than the Rev Hub and the Cocchi. And now we'll do what you always have to do with Negronis, and we stir it down. So we'll just get a little stir. The orange bitters helps just to dry off the edge a little bit, so it tastes a bit more grown up.
It's not the other one if you don't have it.
Doesn't it? And also, if you don't have it, look, use a jar, use a small saucepan. Hell, you can shake it if you want, but this way you get slightly less dilution. Also, it doesn't mean you don't have to double strain it, because when you shake, you smash the ice, which means you have to filter the ice bits out. You're stirring it down to do that. So I'm going to give this a stir that's worthy of the drink. So I'm not going to speed it up. I'm just going to chat to my wife. Hello, darling. How are you?
So a specific sort of glass?
Yeah, I would use a standard. Well, in this case, we're using a martini glass, which is good for a Boulevardier. But you want something with a stem. There we go. Let's put that in there. Nice skimless drink. Oh, by the way, while I'm on the case of this, thank you very much to Elyx. You know, I've heard of Elyx. But Elyx from Aarhus in Sweden. Being half Swedish, I'm very proud of this. This is the super premium vodka, a farm vodka. So they actually grow their own barley as well, from Absolut in Sweden. And they very, very kindly sent me this kit. This is a martini making kit. It's fantastic quality. It's even got a weight on the top, so it balances when you stir. It's made from copper. It came with a jigger. It came with a stirrer. It came with what calls a julep strainer, and this beautifully embroidered glass. You can buy this as a present for your father online. You can go to Elyx Boutique. Or mother. Quite right, Emma. What kind of dinosaur am I? And it's about £97, but you're getting real kit here, really classy kit. And thank you very much, the lovely people that sent it to me. I will be using this in a cocktail in the near future, just so you guys know that I haven't forgotten about you. Okay, so I'm just using this, which has been sitting there happily with chilled ice in it. I'm now going to pour this into here. Like that.
Very good.
Okay. Now, the simplest of all garnishes. Just a piece of lemon of orange and just sprinkle the oil over it and drop it in. This, my darling, is a Jimmy's Beachfront Avenue. Mentioning vanilla ice, A18 Beachfront Avenue. And it mentions James, because it's Daddy Rack whiskey.
Oh, that's amazing.
It is an amazing drink. It's one of my favourite drinks of all time as a Boulevardier.
More than I expected. It's got a lot of depth.
You think it's going to be a bit heavy and a bit hard going, but it has incredible...
That's really nice.
This is what I've been waiting for all day.
It's more refreshing than I expected.
This is the point in the show where we have to decide to continue come what may, because I can't drive after this. I won't be able to get any more ice. Yeah, baby. Oh, that's the best drink I've had all week, and
So
I've had some lovely
I've
had some lovely drinks. Thank you very much, the boys Daddy Rack for looking after me at Taste of London this week. They gave me a couple of nice drinks. Had a popcorn old fashioned, made with a popcorn liqueur, which is
on the
delicious.
menu of the Clevelander on Beachfront Avenue.
Yeah, man.
Excellent.
That is a drink, right? And you can taste the vanilla from the drink, and then the vanilla-y kind of distillate of the rhubarb comes out in the drink.
Hence the vanilla ice.
Right. Ice,
I
baby.
see what you did there.
So that leaves me one more drink to make. This drink is an homage to kind of like... It's very hard to describe him in ways that do him justice, but also describe precisely what he did for us as an industry in this country. But I'm talking about Dick Bradsell, who sadly passed away a few years ago. Must have been about 5 years ago now. What's it been? Around that time.
3, 4.
But a shout out to his lovely daughter Beatrice, who's still rocking the London cocktail scene in a way that only B can. So B Bradsell, respect. And I'm going to basically replicate a drink. I've changed it slightly, but it's in some ways it's Dick Bradsell's greatest invention. Dick Bradsell's famous for many things. He was kind of always known as the Dale de Groff of London, which isn't strictly accurate, but in some ways it was. He went to New York, he saw how Dale operated, he came back, worked very, very hard. A guy called Tommy, I think, Tommy's Bar investor, came in with Dick and said, let's do a cocktail bar where we have 70 cocktails and we know how to make them all properly. And the service standards are higher. We're using fresh ingredients, none of this weird glow-in-the-dark blue stuff that all other cocktails had in the 70s. And they perfected these drinks and invented a few new ones. And if you haven't heard of an Espresso Martini, you must have been living under a rock for the last 20 years. That's his. That's a story in of itself. Maybe I'll do that one day on the show. But just go on Google. There's 50 other people already tried to do it. But he also made the treacle, which is a rum old-fashioned, which is another very clever drink, really delicious. But the drink I think the bartenders thank him most for is this one, which is called the Bramble. And we're going to make a slight different take on this. I'm just going to rinse out all of the melted ice. I'm doing okay. There's a few bits that aren't melted at the bottom here. That's okay for now. And I've got some large ice in the shaker. Okay, what are we going to do here? Right. Where are we? Where's the glass? Oh, here we are. Ditto. Look at how much has melted since. Okay, so do that. So the idea of the Bramble is that it's basically a very famous drink, which was one of the first cocktails made in New York, which is called a gin fix, which is basically just sugar, lemon, and gin, and you mix it together. That reminds me that I didn't bring any sugar. Can you bring me some sugar? I was going to use gum syrup, but I wanted to show you something simpler. Oh yeah, good point. I haven't got any. Let's have a look. I'll have to work on the fly here. Syrups. Oh, this is typical. Right, I'm just right back. We have got some sugar somewhere. Oh yes, we have. Got the podcaster sugar here. Okay, how's that? There we go. Right, so here we go. God, that was nearly over. So what's interesting is when I've seen Dick do this in the past, I tend to always put the spirits into the cocktail shaker first. I think that's what people tend to do. It's kind of like they say that it cracks the aromas of the spirit. But whenever I've seen Dick make this, he's always put the juice in first. So we put in half a lemon, which is about 25 mils of juice. Okay. Try that. Okay. Now, you can use any good quality London dry gin. The gin I would probably use to make this if I was going like hell for leather, trying to make the best Bramble I possibly could. Thank you, Ivan Dixon. It would be this at the moment, which is a gin which a friend of mine, Ivan Dixon, legend in the industry again, used to be head buyer at Harvey Nichols, worked for one of the biggest importers of gin in the country, if not the biggest. He now represents this. It's a Procera gin. It's from Kenya. The bottle was blown in Mombasa. The lid is made from bamboo, which has been polished. It's made from leather from local cows.
Kalahari.
Yeah, it's Kalahari.
And stuff.
Carolina juniper. So these juniper berries will actually just smell that. Were actually harvested fresh, and they just smell incredible. And they're thinking of trying to make African juniper a kind of a Grand Cru in its own right. This is brilliant in something like this, but this is 80 quid a half litre. So if you think I'm going to use this in a show just to cheer you up, you can sod off. So there we go. I'm going to use my proprietary favourite cheap gin, which is Greenall's Green Able, which is perfectly acceptable. So we put in 25 mils of lemon juice. I'm now going to put in a 2 ounce serve of gin. I'm now going to put in the equivalent of about 10 mils of gom. There's a sport, which is going to be a teaspoon.
So gum syrup is like a liquid.
Yeah, basically
sugar.
you can make a simple.
Sugar solution.
You make a sugar syrup, a simple syrup of mixing 2 parts sugar to 1 part water. I just forgot to make some today. And then there you are. You add it liquid, and it won't be all granular. But that's fine. By the time I've shaken the hell out of this, the sugar will have dissolved anyway. Okay, so all we've got in here are those ingredients: lemon, Greenall's gin, fresh lemon, good lemon, and some sugar. So on goes the lid. Okay, I'm going to serve it over crushed ice. Then what makes a gin fix into a bramble is then you float half an ounce of creme de mure over it, which is brambles. And this reminded him of when he grew up in the Isle of Wight, picking brambles with his parents. So with that sense of Englishness in mind, I thought this was not far off. This is trying to make this representative of England. We could put in a little bit of lemon as a garnish, like that. A few raspberries, and believe it or not, hold on. Oh, here we are. We have Slovakian plum, which I'm going to just put in. Like that. No, yes, you're right. It is getting slightly full.
Running out of room for the Reverend.
It is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat. Take some of that out. Now we do is this.
So you add that last, always?
As a float, like that. Have a go at that.
It's pretty.
It is lovely. So the bramble made with creme de mure is one of the greatest cocktails really invented with bartenders, because you can make 10 in a minute. You can make them so fast. It's a gin fix with a float. Isn't that absolutely delicious?
That's fantastic.
And the balance and the tension in the drink is so nice.
Again, on a hot day, really refreshing, as well as thirst quenching.
We're going to be a bit piddled after this, aren't we?
No.
Well, what can I say?
I haven't drunk them all, by the way.
They're all down here. Pass them back. Let's show them. Let's show
Exactly.
the melted, nasty dinosaurs that are left
There
over.
we go. Number 1.
And this is the first one, which is our Hibiscus Fizz. Yum. Next.
It's Hibiscus Tonic.
Yeah, Hibiscus Tonic, soda water, and Reverend Hubert. That's it. That's simple. Okay, so basically it's a gin and tonic using Hibiscus Tonic and garden liqueur.
With strawberry
and then,
garnish.
yeah, and we use the strawberry garnish because the strawberry's really nice in the drink.
Pims o'clock.
Pims o'clock. This was the Reverend Hubert Garden Cup. You'll never want to buy Pims again. I know it's hot, Danny. It's very, very hot.
Right,
Then we had Jimmy's Beachfront Avenue. And then we finished on the... Oh yeah, Beachfront Avenue.
the parade.
Every time you pass the drink, I have to sip it. Oh man, so good. And then finally, we're going to call it the Mustn't Grumble. In homage to Reverend Hubert. Some people may get that joke. Yeah, absolutely. So thanks very much to everyone who watched this show. I just want to show you what you can do with this. It's brilliant. I'm trying to work out how we can get it into bars and stuff like that. Oh yeah, I need to have another glass of Mustn't Grumble.
There we go.
I think we'll finish. Actually, the simplicity of that drink is just so wonderful.
On a hot day.
No need for any bitters, no vermouth. On a hot day, it's just fantastic.
Thirst quenching and easy to make if you're on a picnic or something.
Tom Lester, I hope you enjoyed this show. Love you, brother. This journey has been extraordinary to us. I think we're very proud about the 2 drinks we got, aren't we? They are just fantastic. And I look forward to formulating this winter's liqueur with you tomorrow. See you next time.